So I thought I'd just leave you on a final thing, and that's to say that sports science doesn't have all the answers. And so really, as individuals, you need to be looking at this quote and thinking about the way you might apply science. This is a guy who is quite a close friend of mine now. He was a physiotherapist at Tranmere Rovers, which is the third team on the side, but recently became the manager and has had his first full successful season in charge. And with him having a PhD, he understands the area a little bit. I've pulled out the key things in red for you. He said that sports science is not a panacea, it's not a cure-all, and that there are many other factors that can influence performance. It's really this key skill, both for the coach and the practitioner, to establish the scale of the reliance of sports science in any one area. That's the real conundrum posed to practitioners. How much we go with the coach's subjective experiential evaluation and how much we try and support that with science. I'd like to just end by acknowledging a couple of people, really. I'm just a lucky guy sometimes who does get to come to these conferences. There's a whole team of people behind me and people like Warren at John Moores who provide us with the science and the work. Some of them are here at this conference and you'll hear speak over the next few days. I'd also like to just thank all the clubs and football associations that I have opportunity to work with and talk to, because they provide an awful lot of ideas too. We've probably got 1-2 minutes for questions before I introduce the next speaker. If anyone's got any burning issues or they want to wait until the real guys come on to talk about things, that's okay with me. Start with Peter and then we'll go to Brian. Peter? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just wanted to mention that obviously with continuous professional development, coaches and so on, and UEFA Pro licenses, that may have improved, and there's actually a 2008 paper that has repeated the study of Franks and Miller by Lairds and Watters in Scotland with Scottish soccer coaches that has shown that that's more like 59% these days.
Oh, that's a useful fact to know, but I guess even though that's an improvement,
it's not 100%.
Yeah, I mean, still with the stresses and the strains of the game and things, you know, people will miss things, and so I think it's important to have this post-event analysis.
Thanks. Barry, if you're working in Australian football, it would probably be the case that Darren Burgess would tell Kenny Dalglish how much training time he had available to spend with the players. Does that happen at Liverpool?
You know, there's been a lot of changes at Liverpool this year, and obviously only recently Kenny Dalglish signed a full-time contract. You know, for me, that hasn't happened so far. Kenny's certainly very interested in Darren's thoughts on training and will listen to what he says. But I think quite rightly in the current situation, he's been attempting to get his full-time contract and has done what he thinks is best. And for me, it's all about providing information to the coach. It's not about making the final decision. You know, I think he's the guy who's paid to do that. So we should do that.
Yeah, quite agree.
Hi, Barry. Thank you for a great presentation. What kind of reaction, basically, in reality in Liverpool, players to do the science? How can they perceive the science? Basically, because in the presentation, you say 20% of data is missing, so they are kind of escaping or hiding, or like they don't value the science quite high?
You know, I think as a rule, all the players at Liverpool have been fantastic this year. There's been an incredible amount of change for them, both at the support level and at the level of the coaching and the management. Obviously, even though they're all into sports science, they all have individual approaches. You know, so some people like the science more than others. It's also probably true that sometimes people vary on a day-to-day level. You know, sometimes people just get up in a bad mood and want to keep themselves to themselves. So as a whole, I think they've accepted it really well. Though, as you can see, there are always challenges to face. The good thing is, at least with the systems that we have, we understand the job that we're doing and can try and improve it. Okay, in the interest of time then, I'll just move on to introducing our next speaker. We're going to stay with the theme of football, but now we're going to move specifically into younger age groups. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. John Iger from Wolverhampton Wanderers to come and give his presentation on working with the younger squads in the Premier League.